All right, recruiting for YouTube. We're in a league. We have Sleep Cursed Faerie in our deck instead of Ragavan. Gonna try it out. They reveal Gigantha. It could be Tron, which we would definitely probably mulligan this hand, but it also could be Shadow. We're gonna keep. It's kind of a 50-50. They kept 7, so hopefully, yep, okay, nice. The good news is it is not Tron. It might be the Grinding Breach deck. Or not Grinding Breach, the Lotus Field deck. I think some people like cut the Thassa's Oracle main deck and are able to play Gigantha as a companion. So because we want to pre-order in here, I think we want to bobble them, maybe hope to get some info. This might be, like, if our suspicion is they could be a combo deck, we could get a lot of value from this bobble targeting them. Gifts and Given. So it's Gift Storm. So it is a combo deck. That definitely informs how we want to pre-order in here. We definitely want Force Negation. We do have a Bolt. We know against Gift Storm, we know that the Bolt is actually live because they have their creatures. So not horrible. They play Baral. It's probably smart for them to play Baral in this spot because they're like forcing us to have Bolt because otherwise we don't have Delirium for Unholy Heat yet. And then let's just play a Flooded Strand and pass. We have another Flooded Strand. We'll do some minor deck thinning. They play another Brawl. Well, this time we do have Delirium for Unholy Heat, so we can do that. And keeping them off these creatures is really important. It's like pretty difficult for them to combo without a creature. I think we're supposed to cast Iteration here, looking for a 1-drop plus blue card to hand. Oh, that's pretty sad. Man, a lot of lands, a lot of lands. But Spell Pierce is one of the better ones there. I guess if we're only going to find one spell, they might like tap out for gifts on their main phase to try to sneak it through. And we can go ahead and have the Spell Pierce. So I think in this spot we're supposed to go Spell Pierce, pass. They're going to end step gifts, and then they might do something on their turn. So if we play DRC, we're basically leaving ourselves with only one permission spell. If we pass here, we can have hardcast Force Negation as well. So we're going to have to wait a turn on the DRC. It is kind of awkward. They could just like draw Gigantha and get into a racing situation, but I think I trust us in a racing situation. They have a lot of dead cards like rituals in their deck, so I don't think draw Gigantha is actually going to work out that well for them. They do draw Gigantha. We draw Counterspell. Okay. Let's get down the DRC, and then we can't have 2 counters up this turn anyways, so we'll just pass. I don't think that this deck Gift Storm plays any main deck Spell Pierces. Oh, but they do have Remand, so untapped land could have been smart there so that we're not weak to Remand. Like if they start to go off and then take a line. Ooh. I don't think we want to counter this. They have Gigantha and 4 Unknowns. It's like somewhat possible they could combo off this turn, but pretty unlikely. But more, what I'm worried about is like I am a little bit worried about playing into their Remand. Now that I think about it, like they could Remand their own Bolt if we try to counter, and then Bolt again, and we just get owned. That's a pretty funny draw. I guess let's shock and pass so that we have Subtlety plus Counterspell. It is possible sometimes the Storm deck can do some small chains. We really do need a threat here. A Murktide would be amazing, like usual. So they're going for the hardcast Gigantha angle, it looks like. We don't have any way to loot away these lands, so we might as well just keep putting them in play. I guess if we draw Iteration, it could be good to have the extra lands in play. Alright, well, Subtlety or Gigantha is a pretty strong play. And if they try to cast it again, we can counterspell probably. But it depends. I mean, we could also just draw Unholy Heat and not care at all about it. Oh, bang! Sleep Cursed Faerie in there. We can probably take some counters off this guy end step. He'll be ready for action next turn. Excellent. We do have to be careful of gifts ungiven, so we should definitely leave up counterspell. So we're just going to go down to 1, then we'll untap, and then we'll untap him and attack. I guess if they do cast gifts here, we might be smart to not attack as much as I want to. Like, you know I want to, right? But the problem is remand could be a problem. Otherwise, the counterspell is just like very good. But if they start to go off and then they remand, I guess we have Unholy Heat, which does protect us a little bit from their creatures. So the upside, we put them to 10. It's actually the same clock, right? Like put them to 10, and then put them to 4, and then 0, as compared to put them to 7, then 1, then 0. So yeah, no reason to overextend there. They go for the Electromancer. The best time to kill Electromancer is always now. They fetch. I mean, one card. Oh no, they put Jagantha on bottom, right? Yeah, definitely put Jagantha on bottom. Alright, so they get to make a lot of mana here, but get this, Sleep Cursed Faerie has Ward 2. Alright, so we have the counter spell. It's really, really rough if they have Remand on their own gifts here. They do not. It's actually not that rough. We're like probably still in decent spot, but if they have Remand on their own gifts and then they found Ritual, we'd be maybe in a tricky spot. Oh, that's awesome. So Grape Shot, but they can't shoot our Sleep Cursed Faerie. They can't shoot our Sleep Cursed Faerie. No, no. If they had, see, if we had our, well, I guess now I'm regretting not untapping the Faerie, right? Because like we could have had them at 6, take an extra turn off their clock, but of course, you know, there's trade-offs, right? There's trade-offs. We draw like the last land in our deck, so that's nice. I'm gonna hold it as a bluff. I mean, at some point they won't, they can't really respect a bluff, but I definitely do not need this extra land in play. If they cast Past in Flames, how close are they to killing us? If they go like Ritual Past in Flames, are we just gonna die here? We might just die here after drawing every land in our deck. They just didn't Ritual Past in Flames. 2, 3. Alright, well, let's see what they can do. They can go 3, 4, 5, 6. 7. Also kind of funny, I guess we got punished for shocking steam vents maybe here? Depending on what happens. Like, there's a good chance that it wouldn't have mattered. I'm pretty sure we're going to die either way, but if we hadn't shocked steam vents, it would have been a little bit harder for them to kill us. Oh yeah, they just have it, right? Because and then they bolt us, and then they grape shot us. Will they find the line? We actually, Oh, never mind, never mind. Okay. Let's bring in the Spell Pierce. Let's bring in Narset, Force Negation, Dispute, Stern Scolding, maybe? I don't know. My guess is there's a decent chance. Maybe we want these EEs in case they go for their, release the, what's it called?
Door.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I saw a message in chat that people couldn't hear. Um, okay. Do we not want any Flame of Anor? Yeah, we could consider Flame of Anor because it's a wizard, but we still wouldn't have very many wizards, right? And it's a 3 mana card. We're on 17 lands. It maybe I could see it. Usually when you add cards like that, your iterations start to feel worse. Like when I was messing around with Sauron's Ransom, I think that's the name of the card. I felt like I was getting a lot more clunky iterations that weren't working as well. Okay, well the one thing is we actually don't have a ton of cards to cut. I feel like we can like shave an Unholy Heat in anticipation of them shaving their creatures down. Maybe shave 2 Unholy Heats. Maybe the move is to actually, you probably want to play Stern Scolding over any Unholy Heats. It pitches to Force Negation, and also countering on the stack is better than heating, because like if they have 5 lands in play, they can still get 4 or 5 mana discount before Unholy Heat resolves. So yeah, maybe we should just like go down a couple of these and go up these. Do any of these other cards make sense? So the EEs are for Empty the Warrens. Null doesn't make any sense. Well, Null could make sense if they're playing like Aria of Flames. The problem in that game was kind of just we never got a threat. Like against the combo decks, it's really good to have a threat turn 1. Okay, we'll mulligan. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this hand. It's tight what we want to put back. I think it's the Lightning Bolt. We can kind of count on Mystical Dispute and Counterspell to answer a creature. I like having max counters and then also having the Murktide is my thought process here. Alright, we'll take one of the lands and bottom the other, I think. Because drawing 2 lands in a row, it would have been really nice if one of those was a fetch land. Because we're trying to get this Murktide down fast, so we kind of want more cantrips. But we also we would probably like a 3rd land. Maybe I could have topped both there. It's a little bit greedy, but I'm hoping to find something like another cantrip or a bauble. Even a DRC. Like if we play DRC, maybe they play something turn 2 and we can decide like we're comfortable piercing so that we can set up Murktide turn 3, maybe with Dispute up. Okay. So we play the fetch, then they cast something and we counter. Fetch down to 3, fetch to 3 cards, to 4. Yeah, so I'm trying to think, like, is it worth it if we draw another fetch land after this? We could jam Murktide, but I don't really think we'd want to do that, so I'll just hold the fetch. In case we draw a bauble next turn. We might want to cast Counterspell this turn. Like with this hand that has the Murktide, I think that using the Counterspell is at a premium because we want to like be able to use these cheap counters to protect our Murktide, is my thought. So basically, like we want to get the Counterspell out of our hand as the more expensive counter, and then play a short game where the cheap counters will stay live. But we do need to get this Murktide down. I don't think we can really jam the Murktide. I needed them to cast a spell. I mean, we could just counter this Preordain. They might just remand the counter, and then we can like pierce the remand. Then we can jam Murktide as a 6/6 with Mystical Dispute and lots of good draws. We could also just dispute at this point. Maybe the counterspell is better. Well, if we counterspell, fetch, we have 4 cards. We can have double. Okay, I think that I want to counterspell this. So I'm thinking is it's possible they could definitely have like remand. Fetch, draw. Scolding's not a bad one either. Play a 5/5. They didn't have remand, which is nice. Now I feel pretty confident that we can survive whatever happens this turn. We do have to be careful of Empty the Warrens, but getting down a 5/5 flyer can make things a little bit more favorable for us. They could like mini grape shot to kill the Murktide. Gifts ungiven. I'll cast Spell Pierce. They cast Spell Pierce. I'll cast Mystical Dispute. You basically always have to counter gifts. That's a rule of thumb because it's just going to get them a ton of value. Like they can get Past in Flames, Manamorphose, Cantrip, it's just too much. Grape Shot. I mean, that's kind of a scary card here, to be honest, because there's a good chance it can pick off our Murktide Regent. Kind of a scary card. Counterspell. Oh, man. Ritual. I feel like they might have boarded out their creatures. From their perspective, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like they know that we have a bunch of removal spells. But from our perspective, there's not a ton we can actually do. Alright, well I think this is not going to end very badly for us. Like, they'd kind of just spewed the ritual for no reason. And the bolt. Right, they didn't have to use the bolt there. Maybe they were afraid of, like, a counter. But what is it? Draw Gigantha. Pass. We're going to lose to Gigantha. I mean, we definitely have a good chance of losing to Gigantha this time around. Man. Imagine playing 17 lands. I should be on 14. Morphos. Well, I mean, we don't even have Unholy Heat, and we have like one Unholy Heat, so we're actually just like, maybe the Stern Scolding is worse. Because if this was Unholy Heat in our hand, we just kill the Gigantha and we're at parity, but right now we're just like losing really badly. Wow. I guess I didn't really think about that element. I kind of thought that we were just going to be really good against Gigantha, but yeah, we probably should have kept in the Unholy Heat. Probably a mistake on my part. We'll convert that stern scolding, though. That's what I'm talking about. Iteration. Oh, okay. A cheeky unholy heat, huh? We have to fetch before we use it. But I really don't like our spot here. Their deck actually has a lot of gas. Like, they do have the rituals, but they just have like a bunch of cantrips, and Passive Flames is like a boomer version of Underworld Breach. So we really need to draw like an iteration into some counters here, or we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. The way they tanked on that was kind of weird. I'm not sure what it means they have. They could have like a remand. We should be careful when if we draw Murktide about remand. Alright, we got a Faerie. We're bluffing counterspell here, I think. I guess now we get kind of punished by remand. But I think it's good to at least, like, we don't want to let them have a free shot at casting their Gifts Ungiven. Like, if they had Gifts Ungiven and no remand here, we get very rewarded for bluffing counterspell and then drawing a counter. Alright, this game is turning around. It's looking up. We stopped drawing lands. They kept drawing lands. They're probably saying the same thing I am. Are you kidding? Another land? How could they be this lucky? I'll be right back, though. Okay, so they take their 3. Draw Preordain. I think it doesn't hurt to cast the Preordain. If we find Bolt, we just are winning. And if we find... Well, we're not really that worried about the... I don't think we're super worried about Empty the Warrens, but I think we can keep it in top. They could, like, remove our Sleep Curse Fairy. We probably might fight over that if they try to do that. Okay. I don't think they actually play any hard counters, so we should be good to go if this happens. So let's just probably set a stop in their upkeep. I guess there's actually no rush to do anything here. We should make them start to use some of their mana. Desperate Ritual. Alright, let's bolt them here. think I'm gonna switch back Unholy Heat into my deck. Maybe over Lightning Bolts? I don't know. I mean, we did beat the Giganta, but we had to draw the Unholy Heat, or we were actually gonna lose to it. I'm like getting more. I guess I'm giving that plan more respect. If we don't have Unholy Heat in our deck, it's pretty good against us. Flusterstorm. Oh, if they have another Fluster. Wow. Okay. I guess I should have bolted on my turn to play around double Flusterstorm. Alright, so now this ritual resolves. Are we dead to Grape Shot, Grape Shot? No. We're winning. Grape Shot. Remand. Oh, so we just counter the remand and we win? Wow, that almost went really bad for us. I'm not gonna lie. That almost went really bad for us. Haha, nice try. Ward. That's called Ward. Sleep Curse Faerie, low key MVP. Alright, let's bring back in one more Unholy Heat. Having two should be good, I think. Like, good enough. I still like the Stern Scoldings because they also pitch to Fawn. Maybe no, maybe the Stern Scolding is just worse than Unholy Heat or Bolts. Do we want three Unholy Heats for Giganta? Or we could bring in an iteration. Because the games have been kind of grindy. I kind of actually think I want my iteration back. Feeling how the games play out. They're trying to like play like a more mid-range plan. I actually also think Chalice would be kind of interesting. Alright, this hand is good against like one of their slow grindy games. If they try to like jam and go off quickly, we actually can't really do much about that, so hopefully it's the former, not the latter. I guess we can look at how they preordain. If they're going, I mean, they'll kind of just top any cantrip, right? So it's kind of actually hard to get any information from that. But like sometimes if you're playing against a combo deck, you have to pay attention to how they're cantripping to see how close they might be. But I think in this type of matchup, they're often going to just do anything. I think just getting the Faerie down seems worth it. A clock will really help, deny their grindy game that they try to play. So Fawn is a perfect draw, I'd say. We can bobble ourselves. I mean, we do want to land, but I think we'll try to like, I think we want to cast both these cantrips, and we don't really want the land. We'd rather have extra looks towards counter magic, basically, is where I'm at. You gonna fluster this? Oh, remand it. So maybe they're digging for lands is what that tells me. Alright, we'll top one of the lands here. This Fawn could be super clutch. Ooh, and I'm pretty happy to gem Narset too. Turn off all their card draw. Pay 3 to kill our Sleep Cursed Fairy. Well, we have Murktide in hand. So I'm like pretty okay with this. And I'd rather try to save the fawn to maybe protect Narset. A reasonable draw. Murktide's like a fine draw, it's just a blue card we can pitch here, right? Do we want more counter magic? Probably. We don't have much right now. Just the fawn, which we might have to use. Or we might decide to use now that we have picked up a counter spell. The fawn might be kind of obvious because we're just like jamming with impunity with no respect to their combo, but this gifts is interesting. I think it gets a lot worse when we have Narset in play because they can't. There's like a lot less value cards they can get, but I think we're still supposed to fawn it. It just puts them on 4 cards versus us having Counterspell, Narset in play. Like even Grape Shot's kind of annoying because it takes Narset off the table. They could definitely have Cantrip stuck in hand right now. It's a big question of whether we're supposed to use our Narset or not here. Scolding. I'm not sure, to be honest. I am not sure. I mean, with the Scolding, we can probably jam Murktide as a 5/5. Scolding takes away their creatures, which is going to make it really hard for them to combo. It could let them resolve a... Let's see if we can find like a Pierce or something. Another counter spell. I kind of want to preordain and see if we find... So my thought is here what we're going to do is we'll jam Murktide this turn as a 6/6. And then... we should exile land. That's probably easiest to get back. We can probably get Delirium back pretty easy here. I mean, chances are they're going to like have to kill Narset with a Grape Shot or something. Because, so preordaining to find the land means that there's a lot of upside to jamming Murktide, because then we can have Counterspell up the next turn. That's how I see it. So, yeah, they do have another Gifts, which is one of their best cards in this spot. Maybe it's one of their best. Maybe it's not actually that scary because we just are like outcarding them, and also Narset turns off a lot of their stuff. They can include some really nice cards. They can include like Past in Flames and Grape Shot, but then they also have to have Rituals in the pile. Like the One Ring, we're not even really afraid of, I don't think. We have Narset literally in play. Why don't we just bin the mana, give them all the payoffs, and then probably be able to just tempo them? I think that's how I'm feeling. Choose 2 cards. The chosen go to the graveyard. So I think let's send the mana to the graveyard. Let them have the expensive payoffs, but I'm pretty sure we can just beat them. They have Bolt here for Narset. Oh man, okay. I mean, the Past in Flames is never even scary. We probably have to counter the One Ring now, but that's okay. Is this a good turn for us to cast Expressive Iteration? We're a little bit afraid of like Flusterstorm on Counterspell. Expressive could find Spell Pierce, which we have 3 of. Do we still have Mystical Dispute, or did we use it? No, we still have Mystical Dispute. That's 4. Force Negation, 5 cards. But they're going to go for something next turn, almost certainly. Unless they have a 3rd Gifts Ungiven. Then they could pass and punish us for not iterating. But otherwise, they probably have to go for something, and we can like fight then and then use Expressive to reload. I think that sounds more likely, like a more likely scenario than the scenario of them doing nothing and passing. And also like us losing then. Like, because if they just do nothing and pass, but they don't have Gifts Ungiven to force us to counter on our turn, we're also winning the game. And they can't even fluster this. Again, like, I'm not even sure we're going to cast Iteration this turn either. Oh. That's interesting. Is it? Maybe it's not interesting. It might just be obvious that we're not supposed to play it. I guess what I'm thinking about, they have Past in Flames and two unknowns. The Past in Flames is basically a brick, but maybe they go Ritual, Past in Flames, we counterspell, and it's over. If we play Murktide and they have Ritual, Cast in Flames, Ritual, Past in Flames, and Fluster, can they win? If we just have Counterspell plus Stern Scolding up, are we just gonna win this? They also can't kill both of our Murktides, right? So I think we can. Oh wait, we need to fetch. I think we can actually play the other Murktide here pretty safely. We just have to be really careful with our Counterspell. But the Past in Flames I think is really clunky here and is probably not going to do them a lot of good. Stern Scolding. Flusterstorm. We don't need to counter this Baral, right? Like, I don't think there's any combination. They would need to have like Echoing Truth to stay alive here, but I don't think there's any cards with this Baral that can actually keep them alive, knowing one of their cards is Past in Flames. So we just counter this Ritual and it's GG's. Last card is Past in Flames, which does nothing. Alright, awesome. Alright, I need to go grab my dinner real quick. I had it heating up in the oven, but I'll be right back. I'll eat while I play the next one. Hopefully you can't hear me chewing, but I'll be right back. All right, we're back. Back in black. We have to mulligan this. We don't have red mana or a way to dig for red mana. We'll keep this hand and put back a land, I think. First bauble probably targets our opponent. Second bauble targets us, and then we can decide if we want to fetch. Hopefully this bauble targeting our opponent gets us a lot of info, so we can actually use this Preordain efficiently. That's one thing you have to keep in mind with Preordain. Like, previously it was a lot less likely that we turn one cantrips. Just remember that generally you don't need to cantrip always, unless you have a clear idea of what you're trying to do with the cantrip, right? Like, yes, it's always nice to cantrip because it uses your mana efficiently and gets a card in the yard for Murktide. But the cantrip also gives a lot of value sometimes when you're like specifically looking for removal or counters. But if you're on the play and you're in the blind, you have no clue what you're looking for. So we see Preordain. That doesn't really tell us a lot. It actually kind of makes me want to just save the bauble plus Steam Vents, or save the bauble plus fetch, and just cast Preordain here, and we'll like probably keep a pretty wide range of cards. Hmm. So any deck that plays Prudent, I think I'm pretty happy to have Sleep Cursed Faerie. Subtlety is the card I'm thinking about. Subtlety's not bad against Murktide if it's the mirror. There's a lot of other Prudent decks though right now where it might not be great. I think we should bottom it just because it's not clear if it's going to be good or like an absolute stinker. So we'll just take the more conservative approach and bottom it. Bloodstained Mire. So it's like Grixis Death Shadow? You fool, your one mana is only a 1/1. Mine is a 3/3. Hmm. How loud is my chewing? I hope it's not too loud. Someone say it's not that loud.
I didn't know you were chewing.
Oh, awesome. There you go. It's the beauty of a headphones. This is an interesting spot. We have a chance to hit Delirium, They shocked to leave something up. It could be a fatal push. I think they would have just killed our DRC. They could have spell pierce. We could just preordain and pass with counterspell up, and also like take a counter off of the sleep cursed fairy. I guess if we like hit somehow hit Spire Bluff Canal. I don't think we really want this because it wastes a scry from preordain. Hmm. Yeah. I'm just doing YouTube video right now. You don't have to close the door actually if you want. I mean, I don't know. Oh, I had an audio issue for a second, and I was deaf and muted. So basically, I was just talking through that spot. I binned consider because I was mostly looking for removal to kill their DRC. Because I thought from a card advantage perspective we were in good shape. I didn't really want more air. Then I took Murktide, but I made a mistake because I took the fetch land instead of the shock land, and now I have exactly 7 cards in my graveyard, and Drown in the Lock is a common card that Shadow plays. So now they can actually Drown in the Lock my Murktide Regent. If I had taken the shock land instead of the fetch land, I would only have 6 cards in my graveyard and they wouldn't be able to kill Murktide, so it would almost certainly kill them. So if they found Drown here, we have a real game when I shouldn't have given them that opportunity, basically. So that was a small thing. I don't really play. I haven't played against Shadow a ton, but that also came up in the video I did where I reviewed. Okay, they didn't find the Drown. Where I reviewed a match where I mulliganed to 4 and still beat Shadow. Where like playing around Drown in the lock with your Murktides can be super super relevant because that's one of the only answers they have. So if we're assuming that it's Shadow, EE is pretty good. Just giving you more ways to answer Shadow. Heat's also great. Stern Scolding doesn't work against Shadow because it's a 13/13 on the stack. Spell Pierce is usually pretty reasonable. Maybe we just want both EEs. Our opponent says they had a Murktide in hand, but they dug for Terminate with Preordain, and then they couldn't cast Murktide because they had a Shockland, a black-red Blood Crypt. I'm not sure if Murktide would have saved them there, though. Could they have played an 8/8? Even then, it would still just be a trade with our Murktide, and we'd have Iteration. So I'm pretty sure we're still winning. Force of Negation is pretty bad. Narset is questionable, but probably pretty good. Honestly, Subtlety is pretty bad. I like all the creatures. I especially like Sleep Cursed Faerie. Oh yeah, Stern Scolding is probably pretty bad because it doesn't counter Shadow. Unless they show us like Ledger Shredder. I mean, one more cut. Murktides are great. They have Terminate. I guess they told us they have Terminate. But Murktides are still great. DRC can be kind of awkward because it can fuel their Shadow, but with 4 Murktides, I just always really like having DRC in my deck unless there's a really good reason to cut it. It's just so good at churning through the deck. Usually it's a must kill. The last cut is tricky. Counterspell is also really good because it answers Shadow cleanly, as well as like iterations and stuff. The cut still could be a counterspell on the draw. Bring it back in on the play for something. The cut could be a removal spell on the play. Cut a counterspell and then bring back a removal, or bring back a counter and cut a removal on the play. Yeah, I don't think we can keep this hand either. It's tempting a little bit. If we find like cantrips or a red land, this hand's phenomenal on the draw. We have 14 red lands, so 1 and 3. We have the spell snare. But if we don't find a red land like pretty fast and we can't start casting the iterations, it could get awkward if we're on the back foot. Like if they play Ragavan turn 1, we could be in a lot of trouble if they have that card in their deck. I guess we have the EE, which we could set to 1, but then we have to top deck a land. It's really tough because you just don't know how the games are going to play out. I'm pretty sure we should mulligan this, but the matchups do often get kind of grindy. Well, let's look at. I want to look at what the odds are. If it's 1 and 3, 53. 14 successes, 3 looks, 1 success. 61% not counting cantrips. I'm going to keep on the draw. Actually, wait, it's only 2 looks. Oh. Well, that probably changes the math a little bit. But it doesn't matter. Okay. Could you guys hear me explain why I cast Consider there?
No, we didn't say anything.
Oh man. Okay.
Nope.
My microphone like cuts out if I move it a little bit away
Oh,
from my mouth. Okay. So I cast Consider because my thought process was the spell snare is very unlikely to do anything on this turn because iteration is not really, even if they play a land and then cast iteration, it's not very good. And then I wanted to cast the Consider because I'm pretty happy with finding a land off it, and then that makes their Thoughtseize a little bit harder. Otherwise, they might have be able to take the Consider. I thought they'd probably be likely to take the Consider, but maybe they just take an iteration. I don't know. Um, Here it's also tricky. Do we want to iteration? We should be careful of Stubborn Denial because they already showed us they have that card in their deck. They're stuck on land, so they have 4 spells. That's some very smart math by me. I'm going to cast Iteration playing around Stubborn Denial. It just snap resolved, so they don't have anything. Our hand is able to use its mana pretty well, so I think what we should do is just take the bauble, play a DRC, and then bauble. We're valuing the velocity of digging through more cards more than like the extra selection that a consider would have in the future turn. Oh, I shouldn't have cracked bauble there. There's no reason to. And now if they like thought sees us, I mean we already have another expressive, so it doesn't actually matter, but yeah. Okay, man, this Sleep Curse Fairy is taking forever. I think in this spot, we're pretty likely to play the DRC, so I'm just going to play it and then cast an iteration. We'll take Unholy Heat. Okay, so Murktide to hand, cast Unholy Heat to kill one of their DRCs.
Do you attack first? Before I think you get delirium, right? You do that.
Oh, yeah, they do get Delirium. Yeah, good call. Yeah, we don't want to let them trade here. Yeah, nice catch, Charles. That was really good. So what are we looking for here? Basically, like, Counterspell would be really nice. Purdin does let us dig a lot of cards for a Counterspell, but we might just want to be casting this iteration anyways next turn. Ooh. Bauble's pretty interesting. Probably not good enough, because they could maybe do something. Yeah, it's probably just too slow. This kind of works perfectly for us, because they have to attack with their DRC now. We can just take, unless they play a Murktide main phase 1, which is definitely a play they could have. Well, we'll see what they can do. Bolt our DRC. Do they have another bolt? Whatever they have, they should definitely not let us untap. So I think they just have nothing, and this is if this is the case, we can cast iteration main phase. I guess if they do have some, okay, we'll take bolt. Bolt. Okay, that works for me. My guess is they're just dead to the attack. But if not, they're dead to 2 bolts to the face. Alright, awesome.
Nice of sleep cursed fairy to finally show up.
Yeah, MVP in that match attacked for 3 damage. Did we play the Sleep Curse Fairy on turn 1? I think we did, right? That was just, it took forever. That was a good exercise in realizing how long 4 turns is.
Yeah.
That whole game was 4 turns. It felt like there was so much that happened. I guess that's not a great testament to Sleep Curse Fairy.
Mhm.
It was pretty sweet against Storm, though. I also think it'll be sweet against Scam.
Mm.
Alright, I'll keep this. We're probably meant to consider first. It lets us hold up Stern Scolding, and it also lets us get information on what we're cantripping towards. They mulligan the 6. Both of those things are pretty nice. Our Preordain will be much stronger when we actually know what we're playing against.
Mm. Um, mm.
Giver of Runes.
I'm
All
sorry.
Stern Scolding is super valuable against them. And we can probably just pick off this Giver with a Bolt. We do have a counterspell also, though, but it makes casting the Preordain more awkward. Alright, I think we can just consider, actually. I think we should top this Murktide. Getting a clock is really nice against their deck. I think let's Preordain, I guess. Ooh. I don't think we want either of those at this point. I guess there's no reason to play the fetch first. Alright, I should have. I was thinking. I split brain because I was thinking I might just fetch shock right away. Now, if we fetch, we shuffle the bad cards back in. Minor downside, but definitely worth considering. And if not, we could have like played the island there, I guess. Though I guess if they play a 2-drop here and we go like fetch. Oh, don't play Sigardazade. Don't play Sigardazade, please. Springleaf Drum. Do they keep a 1-lander? No. I think we definitely want to start scolding this. We're gonna jam Murktide next turn, and we even can have evoke subtlety up. A 6/6 doesn't kill very quickly. Does not kill very quickly. Can we race a Stoneforge Mystic, or are we priced into killing that or subtletying that? Pure Steel. Gross. 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 Second Pure Steel is really gross. Maybe we were just supposed to wait a turn. I really like trying to be aggressive and like force Hammer to have it, but so they can't actually equip, right? This turn they're like pretty unlikely. But you never know. They definitely could. Uh-oh. Wait, they can equip. Okay, I'm stupid. I'm really dumb. They just needed Inkmoth Nexus. Okay. I should have settled Teed. God, playing against Hammer is so hard. They put it on the Pure Steel. We can't even like oh, that's actually really good, right? Like
Go for the best out.
huh?
For the best card you could draw from.
Yeah. The problem is there's not actually a ton we can do here. Like we can because they're just gonna like attack us with Inkmoth, right? Then we have to bounce Hammer. But then they just like protection the Inkmoth and replay Hammer, and we're toast. So I guess what we have to do is block. They pro blue the thing. I'm just trying to think if there's any way we can. Yeah, I guess if they make a mistake, we could be okay here. Like they need to not they need to let us block their Inkmoth, right? Out of an abundance of fear. They let us block the Inkmoth, like chump block it. And then we bounce the Hammer and end step. Their Inkmoth dies. We have counterspell now for the Hammer. And maybe we're okay. That's kind of the line I'm thinking here. I think we definitely were supposed to just subtlety the Pure Steel. It's just awkward because we actually don't have a lot of draws afterwards that protect it. Maybe, yeah, I think it might just be results thinking because I'm pretty sure. Alright. Chump block. Oh my god, I chump blocked. Oh no, that was so bad. So we kinda got him, right? I mean, they can have some really good follow-ups here that are still gonna make our life really annoying, but Oh, that's such a good draw. If they move the hammer, even if they don't move the hammer, it's such a good draw. Come on. Oh, so we have to subtlety this and then draw a counter or yeah, just draw a counter. Subtlety this, draw a counter is our play here. Maybe they put it on the bottom because like I already have a pure steel. They do put it on the bottom. Okay, well, that's very good for us. Okay. Things are looking maybe up. Can we draw iteration? All right, I'll take a Murktide. I'll take a Murktide. Um, do we want to leave an extra card type in the yard for 2 points of life? It's close. Delirium can matter. 2 points of life can also matter. We're playing a 3/3 right now, and they can attack us. They have us on like a 5-turn clock. Our clock is longer than that. Alright, I think we'll not pay the life. I'm not really sure in that spot. It's a pretty tough call to make. Maybe we should leave a land in the yard as like a hopeful prayer that we don't draw any more lands this game. Ornithopter. And they're not attacking with ink moths. Okay, we drew a land. Epic. Well, we shouldn't attack. I mean, we should maybe hold the land actually. Bluffing removal. If we draw another land, I'll hold it. I do think there was some upside to iteration chaining, but there's also a big upside to holding the land because bluffing removal spells can make their giver harder to use. Should we just kill the giver now? They could have Surge as their last card, but yeah, let's just kill the giver now and see what happens. They do have Surge. Okay. Good to know at least. We're on a ticking time bomb because they have essentially 9 cards that are just going to crush us. Stoneforge actually also is probably just crushing us here. They have like 13 cards that just crush us. Um, I mean, I don't know, like, should we start attacking with this Murktide as a bluff? They can literally just give her protection, Ink Moth, and it's pretty free to do so. But they also haven't played perfectly, so maybe they make a mistake. It's kind of weighing, like, if they play accurately, this is a bad attack, because we'll just end up with our Murktide shrinking one. But if they just, like, take the damage or something, then it could be okay for us. Like, maybe they just take it and say, like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna attack. They just have so many good creatures here. So many good draws, I mean, that I feel like there is some pressure for us to They had a Gonjo. Wow. Okay. Max punished. Okay. For some reason, I guess now they'll start attacking me with the ink moths. What'd they draw? 2 mana is never a good sign unless they're activating 2 ink moth. Oh, they are. Okay, phew. I was gonna say, please, please don't be playing a 2 mana spell. That will definitely kill me here. Whew, that's a good one. Alright, alright. Give me something good. Man, but we still need an answer for this Giver of Runes is the problem. We need an answer for the Giver of Runes. And then we're in decent shape with this counter spell backing us up. Alright, have to counter Stoneforge. It threatens Cauldra, which we almost certainly can't beat. Get Delirium. That's nice. Another expressive iteration? Or it's Christmas time. Bobble on top seems fine. Murktide. I think Murktide to hand exile Bobble seems good. Murktide's gonna be a 7/7. Bobble help us find a removal spell for the Giver, maybe. Or a... And then I think we're supposed to not... Well... These attacks are so awkward because, like... Giver on Ink Moth is gross. So we could just take away Delirium and pass. I think we should probably do that. Leave ourselves with 2 mana in case we find a counter spell. I think we have to draw Iteration here, even though it gives them a 1-turn window to rip something very good. I think we'll kind of see, like, what they draw is face up, but what they would draw the next turn would be nice to know. So because of that, I'm going to wait on the bobble, let them draw. Like, for example, if they draw something like Sigarda Zaid, it's pretty face up. They're just going to jam it and kill us, probably. But if they draw... Oh, no. Oh, why did I fucking say that? Excuse my language. I basically demonic tutored for them by saying such a thing. Never say what your opponent's best draw is. I guess I could have like bluffed if I cracked Bauble, so there was value there. But again, like with the Giver of Runes in play, it's just not a very good bluff. They're just supposed to jam. They just need to pro blue and we're toast. Because we don't have Delirium either. Yep, they found it. Well, I still think it's good. I don't know, cause they beat Bolt with this play, right? They just beat Bolt with this play anyways, so I don't think there's really like even if we had a random card in hand, they're just still like 100% supposed to jam, and if they don't, then they're punting. All right, that was a really long, pretty cool game one. We have a lot of cards to bring in. The question is, what cards do we bring out? Subtlety, definitely. I'm always pretty happy with Force and Negation. I think counter spells are pretty weak generally compared to the one mana counters. So we're bringing in all of these. Maybe we can shave a Murktide. To be honest, Sleep Cursed Fairy seems kind of bad in this matchup. It's like a linear matchup where I don't know. I mean, if you play it on turn one, it's still pretty nice, but oh wait, definitely bring in the Furies also. Those guys are they can be pretty nice. The Fury is really not like that amazing against them, to be honest, because it often can be kind of hard to get like a 2-for-1. It's often you're 2-for-1ing yourself for some tempo, but still worth it. But yeah, do we want the other Fawn also? Maybe not on the. Maybe just we don't need Fawn on the play with this setup. We have a lot of one mana counters, and on the draw we bring in the Fawns over maybe the Sleep Curse Fairies. I think that works. I think this is a hand we should probably keep. We have the Fairy on one, and then consider plus Unholy Heat or maybe Fury. Ragavan on one would be a lot better here. We'll recognize when Fairy is good and we'll recognize when Fairy is bad, right? Like Ragavan would have been phenomenal here. Um, What'd they get? Hammer? I think we're supposed to consider for a land here because it's like pretty bad if we don't find a land in the top three anyways. I have a creature in play, but I still can attack. I like instinctively wanted to attack since I played a creature turn one. I just could not. I just just have to wait another 1, 2, 3 turns to attack. Oh god. Fairy, fairy, fairy. They play hammer, which tips us off that they almost certainly have Pure Steel Paladin in hand. Do we want to just bite the bullet and bolt this Esper Sentinel and let them draw a card? Or do we want to Fury? The thing is, we need to leave up our removal for a potential Paladin, right? But we could definitely Fury the Sentinel and just hold up double bolts. I'm not really sure that's worth it. Probably should just bite the bullet and let them draw a card. I think like it's correct to do that more often than you think. Just get the thing out of here. I wish I was a fetch, then we could play Murktide and have bolts up. Hmm. Really awkward now. Really awkward. Are we supposed to cast Iteration? It's just so likely that it's an impulse. Maybe that's fine. Oh, awesome. I should take DRC to hand, bobble to exile, play bobble, target them, giver on top. Okay. They should go giver plus Stoneforge Mystic. Wouldn't that be a good play by our opponent? That'd be a really good play by our opponent. Stoneforge Mystic? Oh my god, please play giver. I'm begging you to play Giver of Runes here. Oh, they didn't have the Giver to play. Sadness. I think we're not supposed to bolt because we need to save the bolt to be instant speed removal. So we're probably like supposed to Fury if we want to do that. Okay, hold on. So let's think. So we can play a 6/6. But if we play a 7/7, it's a 2-turn clock. So we can preordain, and if we find a land, we can play a 7/7 and have bolts up. And then like Fury the Stoneforge if we wanted to. I'm not even sure we have to kill the Stoneforge, honestly. Oh, we found a freaking tapped land. I mean, I think we can just change course then and draw the bolts. I guess now the question is, do we have to respect? They got another
Caldera.
hammer, which to
I think they
me,
maybe have Caldera. Yeah.
yeah, they could. I think they could definitely have Cauldron in this
Last
spot.
time I
Like,
did that, I got Caldera and I was, well,
yeah,
I
exactly.
was right.
It feels like a lot of the time I play Stoneforge there, I'm getting Cauldron if like if I don't know. They're stuck on lands, right? But I think there's like a decent chance we're just supposed to Fury pitch DRC play Murktide here, to be honest. We're like super favorite if we untap. Even if they go Paladin plus Hammer, they still don't have Delirium or Dark Metalcraft. They'd have to play a Plains. They'd have to top deck a Plains, right? So I think I'm just gonna take this line. Oh, I did not delve properly there at all. I think I delved a Fury instead of a land, but hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. This just has them dead in 2 turns. They play a Shadow Spear. Okay. And a Hammer. What's their top card? Gingerbrute. Pretty sure we can beat that. Hmm. I guess bottom we're just like looking for action right now. Otherwise, we don't really care that much. We don't want to like waste time cantripping, but if we found like a counter or something, it'd be nice. Like a Stern Scolding's actually really nice here. I think. Actually, I know. I will definitely post this to YouTube. Yeah. Okay, and they scoop. All right. I think like Sleep Curse Fairy so slow, so slow. Let's bring in the Force Negations. I'm like very happy with that card, especially on the draw.
Um,
Maybe the Spell Pierce is worth considering.
you bring some salty on the draw as a aggressive.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
So I was saying that I don't think subtlety is very good anymore.
yeah.
The reason being like the biggest thing for subtlety was that it could counter their 2-drops on the draw, but now we have Stern Scolding and like so we have basically have 3 spell snares effectively.
Yeah. Mhm.
And subtlety is like pretty bad on every other turn for the most
Mhm.
part. Like it's just inefficient. It only hits a narrow set of their cards. They're
Yeah.
also not even that likely to jam a paladin on turn 2, so it's like you really are just trying to like subtlety a Stoneforge Mystic or maybe like an Esper Sentinel, but that's not great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it doesn't really like if you think about its play pattern, it doesn't really end up doing very much. Spell Pierce is another card I'm not really sure about. The games can get grindy and like extra iterations can always pitch to your forces.
Mhm.
So I know Pygonti likes to cut an iteration, but I kinda don't. I can see cutting a consider maybe for the spell pierce, just go down to 4 cantrips, because drawing multiple like 1 mana cantrips is so painful. On the
Mhm.
other hand, maybe consider is better than preordain because
Yes, definitely.
it's instant speed. So you can yeah, actually I think that's actually probably correct. Alright, let's do this. Yeah, the instant speed matters a lot against hammer because there's so much time where you're just like passing back and forth with some tension and like trying to play the
Mhm.
control game. But if they have, I mean, if they have Sigarda's 8 in play, then the consider being instant speed doesn't matter that much. But yeah. Hmm. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, this hand is fine. Double removal spell is nice, but there's holes like against Urza Saga. Esper Sentinel is really annoying. Speak of the devil. Please play Giver of Runes. I'm not happy if they play Sigarda's Aid or Esper Sentinel here. Okay. Darn. Should we bite the bullet or should we just like play it slow? It's always the question. We can't really bobble trick ourselves here because if we play bobble and let them draw, we're like pretty priced into bolting this turn, so the bobble trick doesn't work. We could play Spire Bluff and pay for bobble. The annoying thing then is that they could just have like the blacksmith skill card, whatever that card's called. I kind of just want to bite the bullet and heat
Yeah.
now. Let them draw their card and get this annoying card off the table. With the iteration draw, that also changes things because we know that like we would like to start to use our mana. Not for a couple turns, but like next turn it'd be nice to be able to bobble trick ourselves and just a lot of stuff gets kind of awkward with this hand if we just let the Esper Sentinel stick around. I guess the other play there is like just pass, and if they don't play a 2-drop, we just take it slow and don't kill the Esper Sentinel. But if they play a 2-drop, then we can just kill the Esper Sentinel. This maybe is beneficial if they like are stuck on one land, if they kept a one-lander. I think keeping a one-lander with Esper Sentinel is pretty dicey, but they could have.
Mhm.
We would have had to kill the Esper Sentinel anyways when they cast Sigarda's Aid, so now we can bobble trick ourselves. Alright, I will definitely take a dress down here. So we'll just play a fetch land and pass. Oh no, not Urza Saga. Urza Saga is still so good here though. That's the annoying thing. So it's actually still just great because they'll just like get a hammer, and then if they have another hammer, we get really punished. Let's go get another Steam Vents now. Hmm. Guess we just should play fetch land pass. I was trying to think if there's like if we should play Steam Vents tapped, but I think that like the representing the extra interaction is pretty valuable, and the 2 life is pretty unlikely to matter, I'd say, in the grand scheme of things. It definitely could matter, right? Like you never know, like because we probably will have to shock next. We probably have to shock next turn. They're definitely just activating Saga on their end step, and then doing something big this turn. Stern Scolding, probably really not gonna do very much here, unfortunately. But so what we could do is we're definitely shocking here, and then I think what we're gonna probably do is like I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm trying to think still. I'm thinking there's a chance we might like Odawara the Ginger Brute. If they float mana here with the Saga, it's a really bad sign. It means we're in a lot of trouble. Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. I mean, if they target Construct instead of Ginger Brute, that could still be good for us. But if they target Ginger Brute, it's like, what do we do? Do we... So it's like they could just have second hammer, and we're toast. We're cooked. So do we just like, are we just supposed to bounce the Ginger Brute here, probably? I think that's probably the move, is to like bounce Ginger Brute. Springleaf Drum, sure. Bounce Brute, take... I guess we're cooked by another hammer anyways, then. Right? Another hammer just means they 14 us. Maybe we're just cooked by hammer in hand no matter what. Then how are we supposed to... Okay, we should have thought this through a little bit further. You have to really focus on these turns because there's a lot going on. So if we're losing to another hammer anyways, what should we have done differently, if anything? Our hand was just not good against Saga plus Sigarda's Aid. It's so gross when they have that. There's like nothing you can do, except if you draw like Alpine Moon. I think our only play here at this point is bouncing the Ginger Brute with Odawara and hoping that they don't have another hammer or a
Oh, Surge.
Surge. Yeah.
Oh.
Alright, we lose. There was just no play there. There was literally no play there with our hand. Force negation would have played if we had that. We just got very choked up. I mean, maybe we should have cut iteration on the draw if it was preordained. Exactsies. Remember when I was like, oh yeah, shocking probably doesn't matter that much. We would have gone to 1 here. But the hammer on the I don't think it actually. Oh, brutal.
Oh no.
No. Okay. So tough. So tough when Hammer has those draws. Just one of our worst matchups. Good news is Hammer's not very played. No opponents. Sleep cursed fairy. Time to do your thing.
Um,
My takeaway from this league with Sleep Cursed Fairy is like maybe it's playable in Pioneer.
yeah, probably.
I don't really think it's playable in Modern.
Yeah.
Just like you have to wait
Yeah.
so long.
Yeah, water is way too much. Oh,
But I had to get it out of my system.
yeah.
They play red in 6 here. Don't worry, in 3 turns we can start attacking it, so.
I mean, I'm ready to check out those sleep fairies, but I guess not.
No, don't check out yet. That's
I
a
was
bad idea.
waiting for it. Oh,
Oh, the domain zoo. Wow, that's sweet.
yeah, the Canberra.
Hopefully they play something we can bolt, and then we can untap and unholy heat the Kavu.
Yeah. Oh, that was okay. Sure.
Okay, well we can bolt Bowmaster, I guess. That's okay with me. Then they only get a 1/1 instead of a 2/2.
Yeah.
Oh wait, Kavu can exile a card from our yard. They'd be
Mm-hmm.
pretty smart to do that here too. Yep, okay. So much for Delirium. Oh, so much for Delirium. I'm very lucky. Hopefully they don't have Stubborn Denial. We'll hold control in case if they have Stubborn Denial, at least we get to see what their top card is. Oh no, they actually have Stubborn Denial? Wait, no, they don't.
Oh, that okay. They're playing this
Oh, they
the
have
Scamber thing.
Undying.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And they have Hedetsugu Consumes all on top. Hmm. Wait, why are they playing Undying Malice instead of
They have good.
the Wicked
Yeah.
Roll card though? Isn't that card better? Or they play more than just 4 copies, huh?
Well, yeah.
I guess we could have bobbled ourselves, and if we saw the counterspell on top, we could have tried to heat.
Oh,
Yeah, also, I've never played against this deck. If I knew they had the Undying card, I probably would have done the Unholy Heat on their turn, just to, like,
yeah.
prevent them from attacking us for 6. Oh god, if they go up the Beanstalk into Leyline Binding here, I'm actually in shambles.
They're also furious. That's also weird. Oh,
What does Fury do here? They must have a Bolt also, or... Yep, okay. That is not very good for us. Hmm. The classic case of draw force of negation a turn too late is haunting us today.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, we have to play DRC as a blocker. Then the question is, what's the other card we want to our hand? Maybe the Murktide? Maybe the Fetch? Or the Fetch could be nice if we, like, find Iteration. So that we, like... Or I don't know why it's Iteration, I mean Unholy Heat. Then maybe we can kill the Kavu. The Murktide is going to be a 4/4 Murktide. Can we have Murktide plus Bolt? Play DRC and it's chump blocking. That's 3 cards. Draw like a fetch. Let's take the fetch to hand. Oh, actually, maybe. I don't know. That's tough. Maybe the Murktide was better. We're definitely hoping that they're like flooding here. Oh, actually, I think we have a line here where we can like. Oh, this gives it first strike. Okay, never mind. We're dead. I was gonna say, yeah, if they didn't have the Draco, then we could have a line where we get to go Bolt Kavu block with DRC because it has Delirium. Yeah, but they, alas, they have that thing and we're dead. Interesting. Stone Scolding doesn't do anything against them, right?
They have green.
Oh, they do have Grief. Okay.
I guess on the list actually.
Does have what?
I guess on you the list of what they look like.
Oh yeah, sure.
I just sent it in your DM. But close to that.
Wow, this deck looks pretty hard for us to beat, maybe.
Yeah.
Faerie. It's tough because we need to beat. They also have Leyline Binding for our Murktide, which would be probably our best tool. Not to mention they can just scam us.
Do you bring Anno? Because it can counter Draco also.
It counters, yeah, it counters Leyline, Draco. Yeah, actually,
And
definitely.
Beast Vault.
Yeah,
Kind of weird, but
that definitely seems worth it.
um,
Maybe they're supposed to cut some DRCs because they have Leyline of the Void.
mhm.
We'll keep a Stern Scolding in. Alright, I don't really. there's some crazy stuff going on here, but we'll just submit this. Okay, I'm back. Then I went to the bathroom. Well, I'm gonna keep. We have a lot of hope riding on this Mishra's bauble. I will say that, but we should crack it now, I think. They could scam us and like take a preordain or something, but otherwise I think it's generally we could draw like another removal spell, which would deny them the grief scam. This could be over quickly if we don't draw a land in the first next card or two. Okay. Now now I think I really like our chances. A calculated risk against the deck that, has I guess this deck doesn't have Thoughtseize, it only has Grief, so maybe it's like more okay to mulligan than it is against Scam. Against Scam I keep this hand like 10 out of 10 times. Against this deck maybe it's more reasonable to mulligan. I wish we had Blood Moon. That'd just, be
Oh, yeah.
hose this deck. Wow, we're getting pretty nice draws. They have Bowmaster here, it looks like. We should have just kept the other Scolding in, because Bowmaster too. I'm so used to playing against normal Zoo. I've never played this list before, but yeah. I remember what you see in your games. Between Bowmaster and Grief, I think it's worth it to keep Scolding in. Those are two pretty high value targets. Hmm. I mean, how many more turns can we like? I think we should cast an iteration here. With my thought being, basically, if we don't draw a land,
Oh boy.
oh boy is probably accurate. We're going double Faerie. That's what I'm talking about. Leyline Binding, you're gonna have to fetch Shock if you want to cast that.
Oh. Hmm?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, pay two. We got him.
Hey, look, Leyline Binding now cost a reasonable amount for the effect that it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So true. Oh
oh,
god damn it.
mm,
That's gross.
mhm. Okay.
Oh, Territorial Kavu. What a pain in the side. What a thorn in my side. I guess let's just play a Fairy and Spire Bluff and pass. The thought being, hopefully we counterspell something and then can Unholy Heat next turn. I guess we're fine counterspelling this. If they play something like Scion of Draco, it's okay. We can Fury it. And Fury also will give us Delirium back, even if Kavu exiles a card from the yard, so we got that going for us. But choose to loot. Too cowardly to...
So,
I'll set an upkeep stop, I think, and go for the Unholy Heat then. With Counterspell up. Stubborn Denial. Please just die. Double stubborn denial? Get out of here. Okay. That's very not fair, but they get to discard the Leyline of the Void?
Okay.
I'm salty. I mean, we can hardcast Fury here. We can also Expressive. Murktide would be pretty decent, though there's like a fair chance they have Leyline Binding here, because they haven't been playing creatures. They could definitely have another Binding. They could have an Undying effect, which would be pretty good against our Fury. I think we should cast Iteration. Because next we're making Fury plus Bolt, which would be a lot more effective.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Okay.
It's just so tough, right? Because if they... Maybe we just want to, like... Otawara to hand. Shock. No, I think we need to heat to hand. Steam Vents tapped and, like, give up on the Otawara. And then heat in their upkeep. So that if they Undying, we get to untap and go Fury plus Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's our best play. Even though I'd love to heat and like Otawara to hand, I think it's very risky that it backfires. Oh, oof. I meant to Unholy Heat. Okay. Hopefully they didn't just like draw a counter or something.
Another one.
But they just have an Undying effect more likely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna Leyline Binding me now or something? Fear the
Yeah.
Faerie. Fear the Faerie.
One. Okay.
Alright, let's make sure we sequence this. Bolt. In case they have stub, right? Then the
Yeah.
Fury can't get stubbed.
Sure.
Die, Kavu, die.
One.
We can pass. No way. Is their last card a scam too? Or are they just killing our Fury because they can't hardcast their own?
Um,
Come on. And they even fetched a forest for like no reason to take them off of hardcast Fury. They had two. So they guaranteed had a Fury in hand, but they fetched Wooded Foothills and got a forest, and they just get rewarded.
um,
That's a bummer.
mhm.
Yeah, that deck seemed really interesting. Definitely
Yeah.
seems pretty good against Murktide
Yeah. Oh.
because it grinds pretty well. Their creatures are
Mhm.
outsize our lightning bolts, basically for the most part.
Oh,
The Undying cards are like reasonable fair cards, I guess.
maybe.
I don't think Murktide's in that bad of a position in MTGO. Why do you say
Yeah.
that? Ooh, we're playing against Living End. Turn 1
Yeah.
Ragavan would have been a
Yeah,
million
way
times
better.
better.
Yeah. I
Alright, I
think
think
yeah.
we've pretty conclusively found in this league that Ragavan is
Yeah, don't play it.
better than Sleep Cursed Fairy. I'm glad we were able to determine that.
Oh.
We have Stern Scolding plus Spell Pierce.
Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Fury also. Yeah, that one trophy.
Yeah, I think main deck Fury is pretty common these days.
Okay.
Hmm. I don't know if we can afford to really take a counter off this. Yeah, we probably shouldn't.
Wow.
It's a good draw. It's a very good draw. Cycle Street Wraith. If this was Ragavan that already hit like 4 times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not fun.
Well, I don't think that Scam Zoo deck that we just played against is necessarily mainstream yet. That's like a. And by the way, like if we added Blood Moon into our deck, it would just like be very, very good against them. So maybe it's
Like,
possible there might be time to bring back Blood Moon if people are playing these greedy decks. I mean, in the deep dive against Beanstalk, we did see how good Blood Moon was against them, so that's a lot of incentive to maybe start playing Blood Moon again, which can just like easily steal games, even if the matchup as a whole feels unfavored. It's like the creativity thing. Like when you add Blood Moon into the mix, it makes them play really defensively because they could just like lose at any point. It's the beauty of Blood Moon.
where is that?
No, I don't have any Blood Moon. I had Alpine Moons.
Mhm.
I probably should have Blood Moon, but I was trying a lot of different cards out. I mean, Annul seems pretty good. Narset also seems good, but maybe Narset is too narrow. I don't know. I just ordered a old border version of Narset, so I kind of want to play it now.
Yeah, but one also.
Now we risk the Spell Pierce. Might be dead soon.
Yeah. Force percentage.
Maybe we should cast this Expressive as like a impulse.
Yeah.
Hmm. Spell Snare doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
We can bobble trick ourselves looking for a. We're gonna shuffle this, but I just want to make them untap first so they don't like cascade plus fawn. Fawn, 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 fawn. Oh no. Hmm. There's like a lot of ways we could have gotten punished there for casting the iteration. Actually, not a lot, but if they had grief and we didn't have like scolding plus pierce plus counterspell up, it would have been a bummer.
Yeah.
I was really hoping I'd draw that spell snare. What is going on here? Is this Odawara?
Roar.
The blowout! We can't attack for another 10 turns!
Wow. Well,
That's funny. I guess we get down this DRC.
yeah.
I'm not even gonna bother replaying this sleep cursed fairy.
Yeah. Well,
I really want them to grief me. If they grief me, I don't think I can lose. I guess if they go Cascade plus like Fawn hardcast, we can counterspell plus Pierce. So
mhm.
we're covered on that. This looks like a violent outburst.
Yep. Okay.
But if they have violent outburst, I'm not sure why they wouldn't. Why they wouldn't cast it on our turn with Fawn up to pitch cast? I don't know.
Um,
Oh, they're just going for it. I'm gonna fetch. I'm thinking I might Stern Scolding the Shardless Agent for
Go deeper.
well, I don't know. They could have Grief in hand. With not a black card, that'd be the reason to hold this Stern Scolding. The reason
Mhm.
to Stern Scolding is because it gives us a Surveil.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more valuable, but actually we should Pierce first, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the best way to do it. Because if the top card's Counterspell, we're just definitely gonna hold.
Mm.
Prudent to the top seems fine. We just need to find like a Counterspell here, I think,
Yeah.
and we should win. I guess we can play the Faerie then for free. Um, so that we go to down to 2 counters, then down to 1, then down to 0, then kill them next turn. Like if they have Shardless Agent, we counterspell and then kill them.
Mhm.
If they just pass back, we have to be like a little bit afraid of Violent Outburst, basically, but the subtlety is not horrible to have here as a way. Okay, well now they're just dead to just the DRC, so we'll definitely not untap our Faerie. Channel Waker. Cascade. Shardless Agents. Hopefully they don't have Mystical Dispute main deck. Alright, nice. Truthfully, I don't know if Narset's playable, but I know that we have enough cards to cut that it's playable. Maybe Dress Down's playable. To hit Grief? Probably not. Probably better to have like a Lightning Bolt that can just go face.
Oh, what did we keep spell
Oh, I
snare?
forgot to keep spells. I forgot to cut spell snare. Yep, classic.
No, if only the superior was a Ragavan.
Yeah, again, if Sleep Curse was Ragavan, it's like a snap keep and we're winning. It's not Ragavan. We probably have to mulligan. It's like too many cantraps. Spell snare's already a dead card. Alright, that sounds good. I kind of want to put back a land here, but I do know that the iteration's probably not very good. Maybe it's just better to hit land drops and put back iteration. Iteration's not very good because it'll be hard to find an opportunity to like cast it. I guess the Fawn maybe lets us cast it, so maybe it is okay to put back a land because we have the Fawn. We can like jam an iteration. Murktide. Excellent draw. I guess now if they grief us, we're vulnerable. I really try not to. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have played that. I really try not to be vulnerable to grief. Because it's like, there's only so much you can control, but usually our deck is pretty good at beating the grief versions of their draws, and not as good at beating like Violent Outburst plus Force Negation. That's kind of my observation, generally. Assume they have Force here. Yep.
Mm.
So they get 3 creatures. They get to look at the top cards of our deck and rearrange them. Maybe we'd be in a better spot here if we had cast the iteration last turn instead of playing Sleep Cursed. Probably not, but maybe. We basically need to get Murktide down here pretty fast, but it's gonna be hard. Hopefully they like give us a fetch land on top, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to ever do that because then we get to like shuffle the other two. Oh, they did give us a fetch land. Oh,
Wow.
gracias. Maybe there's a chance then? You can play Curator of Mysteries? No, I can't Mystical Dispute that. They should blow up their Architect of Will here. Bolt? Aye. Okay, DRC was one of our best draws probably. And then I guess we take. We could try to consider into a red land. Then we'd have to fetch shock though, so that doesn't actually work. So we just take the. I think we're just dead. The Foundation Breaker ruins everything. I don't know. They have to like not attack for some reason, which would be bizarre.
Yeah.
Yep, we're dead. Cut spell snare. Bring in lightning bolts. We learned a valuable lesson today. Alright, I'll keep this. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either on the play. The DRC hopefully is going to help us find our Spell Pierces and Chalice of the Void. Alright, that's pretty good. We gotta fill up the yard for Murktide. Um... I guess we can take both of these. It's kind of tricky. I'm not sure if we're supposed to jam Narset. Like, the Fawn obviously makes it very tempting, but they could have Grief. And then the Fawn does nothing. We probably are supposed to jam Narset and just, like, make them have the Grief. They never seem to have Grief against me. They always seem to have Violent Outburst and Force and Negation. We could also try to wait a turn and draw another land, but it would just be a blind draw step, so that doesn't sound very appealing. I guess what we could have done is like, well then, no, because the drawing the actual land only matters if we have Stern Scolding. It's like 4 lands, play Narset, have Stern Scolding plus Fawn up. It's pretty good. I think I'm just gonna YOLO the Narset.
Mm-hmm.
Their living end wouldn't even be that amazing.
Well,
Well, actually, it would be very good if they have the grief. So I take that
yeah.
back.
What Chavez?
Maybe we're supposed to play as if they do have grief there, and like not leave counterspell on top. Because if they do have grief, then the counterspell on top does nothing. Because they like strip us of force and negation plus Murktide and then kill us. That's definitely something to consider there, but I think that it might just be better to hope. Oh, nice, they're missing lands. That's very nice. Narset's probably just bad against them. The more I think about it, they can just like
Oh well.
Sleep Curse Faerie. You're off the team. You're gone. This is the last straw. What are we doing? Yeah, Narset, they can just like cycle on my turn, right? Just to get the extra cards. So I just think
Oh,
it's pretty bad.
oh wow, the discard grief. Yeah.
Oh, they discarded grief to yeah. They just had a read that we have Stern Scolding. They're like, I'm never gonna let you Stern Scolding me.
Yeah. I guess.
I guess we can just cast this because we
Yeah.
have Stern Scolding plus Force Negation up. We should probably try to dig towards. Why would they not grief me? That's so surprising. We're trying to get Delirium here. The Bauble gives us Delirium, so we're in decent shape. Street Wraith, are you sure you want to pay for that? It's gonna cost you 2 life. I mean, I guess the Narset's nice then. Oh, Invoke Endurance. It's annoying, but not as annoying as a hard cast Endurance would be there. Very.
Yeah.
We'll count our blessings, you know. They can cycle Street Wraith on our turn. Wow,
Yeah.
we got Delirium back. Nice. We're definitely getting lucky this match. Better lucky than good, though. Guess we'll see what their top card is. Alright, I take
Yeah.
it back. Narset's
Oh.
great. That's really funny. Oh wait,
Mhm.
we could just like safely play the Murktide there, right? But it
Yeah.
takes away
Yeah.
Delirium, so does it actually do anything for us? Yeah, it's lethal. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we're okay.
totally.
We had like deterministic lethal there, and we didn't
I
take
mean,
it.
you
Oh,
can.
we can hardcast subtlety also though.
Yeah.
All right. It's not actually deterministic lethal because they could have mystical
So,
dispute
or so.
or subtlety. Damn, no third land. Yeah, they only play 14 lands though, so I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
They do play a lot of land cyclers that they did not draw either, so. Yeah, I think the deck they only play 13 lands because they play like 6 or 7 of the land cyclers, like Olafante. Yeah, they are right. No, Narset doesn't seem very good in this matchup, but we did get kind of lucky that they drew a string of cyclers because it doesn't do anything against the basic land cyclers.
Oh,
Oh, okay, so they're not. They're also not dead.
hey. Well,
But now we have double counterspell, force of negation up, so I think we're still in a very good spot.
yeah.
Now we have mystical dispute up also.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. All right. Good way to end. All right. So in conclusion, don't play Sleep Cursed Fairy. 4 turns
Okay.
is a lot of turns to wait. But overall, fun league.
Yeah.
Let's think about. Okay, so what would we do? So I'm gonna get rid of the Sleep Cursed Fairies.
Oh yeah.
That
Well, the
card.
fairy's only really good with Flame of Anor.
No.
I mean,
Yeah.
Flame of Anor would not have fixed the problems the
Yeah.
fairy
It's fun to
had, is the thing. Like, yes, it does enable Flame of Anor, but it doesn't fix the problem that I have. Like, I think the problem is we're just more
more
looking
that.
for explosive draws.
Yeah.
Um, do we still
Yeah.
want a 3-1 Ragavan split? I don't know. We can move a force back into the main, or I think what we realized is maybe Blood Moon seems
Oh yeah.
pretty reasonable right now.
One.
Maybe one Blood Moon in the side, maybe even two. Could we move a Dress Down to the main deck and then shave an Alpine Moon? And then maybe I don't know, maybe Dress Down main deck's not good. It sounds alright. Maybe we can cut. Feels like it has to be Narset that we cut, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
You could probably cut one of these counters, to be honest. I'd need to write out a sideboard map and then see like how all the counters are boarding in and where we're overboarding or where we're underboarding,
Mhm.
and then decide. But I think this is like I would play 75 out of these 76 cards probably in some configuration. You can kind of swap stuff around depending on like maybe Force Negation's better in your meta. If there's a lot of the Beanstalk deck or Subtleties, then you can like main deck the Force and have 4 free counters. But yeah, it's probably better than Dress Down main.
Yeah.
It's probably just better to go back to this. I've really liked this.
Yeah.
Like these 8 cards together are so nice. And then need to figure something else out. Blood Moon's gotten better. Tron has like gone down a bit, so you can probably play Blood Moon again instead of playing Alpine Moon to punish the 4-color or 5-color decks. Yeah, I think something like this. You could move the Ragavan to the main if you know your meta is pretty linear and like less scam and Yawgmoth and stuff, but okay. I'm gonna end the YouTube recording there. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still watching on YouTube, I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed the video.